and welcome to another episode of Disaster Empire Quick Views, where we talk to thought leaders and innovators in resilience. Cannot wait to share my guest with you today. He is well known in the world of business continuity, but I'm going to let him speak for himself. So, Harsha, could you give the audience a brief bio and introduce yourself to those who don't know you already?
Yes, actually, firstly, thank you very much for Disaster Empire to having given me this opportunity to engage with you. I am Harsha Sastry, having more than 30 years of experience in business continuity and disaster recovery, and spaces of various spaces of resilience, may it be operational resilience or organizational resilience. There has been multiple opportunities that have come my way, and I have been lucky enough to embed the culture across organizations as well as the work that I do. To speak about myself, I am a certified professional from both DRI and BCI. I have also got my basically the CCIO completed, which is related with the cybercrime intervention officer role. And that is helping me from a point of view of people wellness that we speak in business continuity. So that's all about myself from a certification point of view. I'm also a mentor of change for students aligned with the ATL organization in India. And we basically engage with students for innovative projects. And my contribution there is with relation to educating them on resilience and making their projects more resilient as they work on various elements. That's all about from my side. And that's the only thing that I would like to say at this moment in a very brief way.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Harsha. And for those who are just joining, I'm Ashley Gooseman of Disaster Empire. And please like and subscribe because that helps to grow our channel. So I want to jump right into it. So, Harsha, you have a new book that's coming out or has come out by the time the podcast airs. Can you share about it and really what impelled you to write it?
Yes. To talk about my book, The Continuity Moment Insight, The Catalyst for Your Resilience Journey, this is a book that I have been thinking for quite some time. And it happened so that in the last 1 year, I have been able to complete writing about it and make it actually get released for all of us to read. Now, what went behind making that book? I basically wanted to have a book which was simple to read. It had stories in it. It had some quotes in it. It also had some pointing questions which we normally want to ask ourselves, want to ask everyone around ourselves, but somehow we to forget or tend to not ask those questions. So those are some questions that I and to make the book not a book but a resource. So I embedded a notes page for every section, and that makes it very easy for people to write notes as they progress. Now, the simplicity of this book is about it being A to Z. So there are mnemonics, which I am known for, and mnemonics for A, B, C till Z. And each mnemonic has a related story or a related episode, which explains the connection between the story and the business continuity aspect. That is how I constructed this book. And this book is basically useful for anyone, whether it is a child going to school or whether it is an elderly person who wants to just read a book. So it's meant for everyone. Everyone can use it to build their own personal resilience or an organizational resilience or an operational resilience. So it all depends upon how you interpret, how you innovate your own mnemonic and your own standard to go across from A to Z as the levels of maturity in the resilience journey. So this is all about my book, and it's a piece of resourcefulness that I intended to make, and that's available for everyone to buy, refer, at the same time utilize it in their journey.
Great. We'll make sure to link a link to it in the
Yeah.
comments so that people can go ahead and buy it. And I'm looking forward to reading it because I know storytelling can really help so much, right, in getting points across. Well, hey, I wanted to ask you a bit more specifically. You know, every country is a little bit different in how
Yes.
it looks at business continuity management, crisis management, and resilience. Can you tell me, is there anything distinct and different for India that you would want to share?
Yeah, okay. So I'll start by defining what is India for us. So India is my country, and India for us means, to this context, going back to mnemonics, the way I relate it in my book, I will try to share a short story with you. So the I in India is all about innovation. The N is about navigation. The D is about diversity. The I is about inclusiveness. And A is about the land of the acharyas, or awareness, and a positive attitude. So basically, this is how I define India. And India from a point of view of a word and of a country. And the various aspects that this country has uh, different, or I should say unique, which we should all know as people and as people who are in the resilience journey, is uh, every time there is a problem or there is no problem, there is a different way in which people tend to think. So you would probably find people coming up with ideas, those ideas getting transformed to initiatives, and those initiatives actually transforming to great products, which probably uh, someone uses and then expands it beyond the country to the world. So that is one piece of element that is different in India. The second thing is about navigation. You'll find leaders from India always driving a path which is a little bit different than what is actually an academic path that is defined, that we study in colleges and universities. So that is a blend of academics plus the experience and individual gains across, and that's making the person a unique navigator. Now, when it comes to diversity, we in India have multiple customers from across the globe. So we are an economy where we get global customers coming in. We have services which are being delivered to global organizations. And we have different cultures as a country, have engagements with different countries. This diversity is different. So when we have so much of diversity, we require solutions in resilience and continuity, or you may say operational sustenance, to be in a situation where we are able to give multiple types of solutions for the same problem, because the requirements could be something different from each and every person who engages with us. So that is the third element, which is very different. As much as we say that we are different, we definitely have the standards which we follow, and the standards defined are definitely aligned to methods that are applied, but there are aspects beyond the standard which need to be executed because of the localization, at the same time cultural differences. The I for inclusiveness is all about not differentiating between two or three or multiple types of processes that probably need to get knit in order to have the right solution built. So this is a feature that probably most of the countries would have. but it's found more deeper in India, fundamentally because it has to not only meet the local requirements, but it also needs to meet the requirements of a standard, of a regulation, and of a population which is of different and different type, at the same time of vivid nature. And the A is all about the land of acharyas, where we say, where India as a country believes in building in awareness, building in the right attitude, building in various ways in which education can be provided to children, the management cadres, at the same time, organizational leaders, so that learning is a continuous perspective and an aspect which only strengthens up the capabilities, at the same time, the competencies of individuals, thus making it absolutely different. So, these are various uh, aspects that I would just like to say when we are talking about differences of an implementation or a thought process of resilience and various attributes of resilience, may it be business continuity, may it be disaster recovery, may it be operational resilience or organizational resilience. There is a little bit of a blend which comes in, which gives in a little bit of a different flavor than just the standalone standard or the guideline. So that is what I can say actually in respect to the differences in India.
Thank you for that. And thank you for pointing out, so much of the vendor outsourcing work is centered in India today. And I know that your country and your fellow countrymen have done a lot to really shore up and ensure that you have good systems in place. But hey, I wanted to ask you directly, and I ask this of all my guests, how do you define resilience? What does it mean to you?
Well, for me, resilience is all about being better than yesterday. So, to give a very simple example, if you plan to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and you do get up at 4 a.m., but after snoozing the alarm once or twice, the challenge for the next day is to actually get up even before the alarm rings. So it's all about responsiveness. It's all about being ready. It's all about being conscious that you have to be in a ready state to do what you plan. And of course, you need to plan what you are going to do. Because if you are not going to be ready to get up at a morning 5 o'clock, then there's no point even setting up the alarm at 5 a.m. So that's one part of the story. The second part of the story, for me, as a professional, resilience is, rising up every day for the next level of the high jump, I should say. So yeah, it's basically trying to raise the bar, raise the capability, raise the competency, and raise the enablement of systems and the basic personality, so that the responsiveness is much more than what it was probably the previous day. So when you take one day at a time, you will probably be able to build your own personal resilience a little bit higher. And if everyone starts doing that, an organization's resilience will start rising higher. Because the most important thing in organizational resilience is everybody has to contribute towards resilience. And even one person dropping the ball is going to ensure that the resilience index is going to fall by that point, and you will have to start all over again to add up and then recharge yourself to go higher. So that's my view about resilience.
Well, thank you for that. And you touched on this earlier, and I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper because as we talked about earlier, every country and every organization, right, looks at things a little bit differently. And so India is certainly bringing in operational resilience, and you're thinking about organizational resilience. What have you seen in your interaction with customers and others in terms of how that's being adopted?
Yes, so it's a very nice question, Ashley. And yeah, what I would like to say is that people are, I've just seen that there is a more consciousness of going back to the basics. So I'd just like to answer this question in a little bit different way. When we had Y2K, we had a typical type of a contingency planning ability that was planned. Something was executed, and we were successful with systems, with people, with processes, with business systems to move ahead. Then we came
Mm,
down. Now, recently we came to a pre-COVID environment where it was a necessity for having continuity plans and disaster recovery plans and so on and so forth. But we all focused on a little bit of a higher level, which is at a function, at a division, at an activity, at a process. The most important thing post-COVID, what has happened is that every little small thing that you do
mm,
has become an aspect which either is a very core dependency or a core activity, or it's a very important activity, or it has become something that it's not so important, but it's important, but it's also required at times,
mm,
but not essential as an activity. So organizations have started looking at activities from a very different point of view to identify what are those important things that an organization is doing? Because the realization is that if you have a bunch of 100, 200, 400, 1,000, or 4,000 elements or functions which you say are important, which probably was a
mm,
scenario pre-COVID, the, the realization that COVID has probably brought in, I should say, is to identify what really is important. And
mm,
that's the place where aspects and attributes of operational resilience have come in. The third thing is that business services, what is the customer services that need to be running, that need to be available, is again a focus area, especially because dependencies on external entities like vendors, suppliers, has been seen as the biggest element of disruption when it was a COVID period. So, as much as we can't make COVID as the threshold to say pre or post, but as an event, it has created an aspect which people have realized where their gaps were and what they need to start building up. So, that is the place where they have started moving on. The third thing is in respect to testing. Now, in testing, the most important thing with work from home and so many other elements that have come in is about responsiveness of people. So, the most important element for any organization is to be able to have a metric which indicates that their people are available, which probably would mean that you have your minimum operating levels in place.
mm,
And that would mean that you are in a state where you can start recovering. If you don't have responsiveness at the first stage from individuals, which is the biggest contributor for organizational resilience, because we say everybody has to contribute to organizational resilience,
mm,
and everybody includes every individual. So, if an individual does not respond to a simple two-way call tree exercise an organization is triggering, it basically indicates that the contribution towards organization resilience and a metric is not getting honored. So the consciousness of individuals to responsiveness, and further from responsiveness to meeting levels of operational need and continuous and continual operations is what is the thought process that organizations, customers, people have started thinking upon. And that is a very important element that we all have to start looking in. Probably it means that testing goes back to phase zero and we start all over again because the fundamentals have to be in place. Only then you can really, really do a business recovery exercise, drill, crisis management exercise, etc., etc. Otherwise, it's all about running, running, running for the same things without reaching to the next stage. That's from my perspective as to what the whole story is all about.
Sir, thank you so much for those points. And I know we need to close out today, but I wanted to ask you, I know you're very active in the field. So what are you thinking about or what is kind of next for you going forward in your work?
If I have to speak about going forward is all about education and people building up themselves. So it's more about uh, going to colleges, schools, enabling children, education, making people understand. Today, the most important element that is essential is all about people having very short span of attention time, causing a lot of disruption for education and educationists because a concept which probably was being explained in an hour today probably needs to be explained in a minute. And that challenge is a very essential element because without you knowing anything, without you being aware, if we are expecting resilience to be a part and parcel of everyone's DNA, then there is going to be a problem because resilience itself will fail. So it's very important for all of us to find and innovate methods in which people are trained, people are educated, and there's also high level of consciousness that needs to be there in all leaders that there has to be enough time that has to be devoted towards understanding new concepts, relaying new concepts, and testing the effectiveness of the learning through exercises and drills and tests. Because unless you don't exercise, unless you don't test, you will never know whether what you have learned is actually getting implemented in the right direction, in the right perspective. So energy has to be spent into the space of testing. Energy has to be spent on the space of building innovative methods of awareness.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there is a challenge, right, in today's world with there being so many distractions and information being shared in such quick, sound bites and short durations. And that definitely proves a challenge for us to get the message across in a way that's succinct but brief and digestible. But I love that you brought out the importance of testing, of doing and really learning through that activity process of trying it out, right? And seeing if we can do it and learning from any gaps or missing elements in terms of how we would do the work and how we build resilience. But hey, I wanted to ask you before we do close out today, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience that we haven't touched on so far?
Yes, I always like to share a story with the audience because that's the way we all learn better. And the story for today is not a new one; it's the same old one, but it's an interesting one, and you'll always like to hear it again and again. It's all about the lion and the gazelle. So both of them are having the right strengths in the jungle. Lion gets up in the morning and prays to the Lord, "Hey Lord, let me run faster than the slowest gazelle so that I can have a great meal. And the gazelle on the other side says, let me run faster than the fastest lion so that I can save my life. So it's not about being the fastest or being the slowest, but it's all about the uncertainty that both the lion and the gazelle have in their mind. The only one message that comes out of this story is that when you see the sun shining, you need to start running. So that is all about resilience. The last thing that I like to share is, as I always do that for my hosts. Actually, uh, I have some mnemonics for you for your name. So A is for awareness of Ashley. S is for stability that you enable through disaster empire. H is being humble and enabling leaders, enabling professionals across the world to be on your program and share their thoughts. L is being a leader by yourself, and E is about excellence. So that is what I like to say. And the Y, of course, is about the yield that everyone gains because resilience, organizational resilience is all about everyone and all. So that is what I'd like to say, Ashley. And lastly, don't forget the test is what I would just like to say because the test is the only way in which an organization, an individual would know whether the fitness of a plan, the fitness of the self as an individual, and the fitness of the capability is indeed fit. So that's all from my side, Ashley.
I wholeheartedly agree, and thank you for the mnemonic. I know that you're known for that. Before I let you go, is there a fun fact that you want to share that maybe people aren't aware of about your?
I only like to say that the fun fact is all about a test only. So when you need to go for your medical test, you always want to postpone it. I would only say don't postpone it because that is the only thing that will say that you're healthy, fit, and well. So don't forego that. At the same time, don't forego a resilience test. That's the only thing that I like to say. So your doctor and yourself are both the most important people in resilience.
Harsha, and where can people get a hold of you? Where's the best place to connect with you? I know that you have a LinkedIn newsletter and some books. So where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
Well, actually, I would say that people can connect with me through LinkedIn. That's the right place to come in. There are also places like buying my book, which is another way of getting in touch with me because once they buy the book, they know whom to connect. And the third most important place is Disaster Empire YouTube because once they know you, then they know, then they see my video, and when they see my video, then they know me and they connect with me. As simple as that. So it should be a win-win-win situation at all times, and that's how I look at it. That's all for my audience, and that's the way I look at everything every time.
Excellent. I'll make sure to put all of those links below so that people can reach out to you and they can find your book and connect with your newsletter. Harsha, thank you so much for your time today and joining us on Disaster Empire. And I want to thank the audience for sticking with us to the end as well. We always appreciate your thoughts and comments. I'm going to let you go now. So I really enjoyed talking to you today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ashley, and God